Hello and welcome to today's video. This time we're going to be taking a look at a gorgeous new hardback that's just been published. It's Pollen in print, 1955 to 1959, looking at the men's adventure magazine career of Samson Pollen. So sit back, relax, and let's take a look. Okay, so quite a big book, this one. It really is a coffee table book. Beautifully produced. It's hardback, of course, and part of that men's adventure library. So it's got a real high standard, published by ExtraTexture. Now, I was lucky enough to be sent one of the first 50 copies, which were actually the limited edition, and the only difference between that and the copy that you would get is mine does have a little book plate signed by the authors there. And it did also come with these still sheets. So these are artists of the period would often use models, and they'd take a series of stills, and this would be like the mock-up of a cover or an internal magazine illustration, and they'd then use this as the basis for their painted artwork. So this one comes with a few sheets of these, and they're very, very interesting. And I always find these fascinating to look at, particularly when you've got the original finished artwork next to you. But very, very clever. I love these. So that's the only sort of difference between the limited edition one and the finished product that you would get. My copy came from ExtraTexture, so it does come with a selection of men's adventure bookmarks as well. And they have already published 2 books on the artwork of Samson Pollen, Pollen's Action and Pollen's Women, and they're both absolutely excellent. But this is a huge book, so what I need to do is pause it there, pull the camera right out so we can have a proper look. Right, so I've just about managed to squeeze the entire book in here, and we can have a proper look through. So as you can see, it's a really sort of lavish publication here, and it does highlight the very best of what Samson Pollen produced, but it is chronological, so the artwork has been pulled from one of the authors, Bob Dice's personal collection, which is astonishing, of all the original men's adventure magazines. So it sort of starts off with a little introduction about the men's adventure magazine genre as a whole, and then also a bit about Samson Pollen. He started doing paperback jackets and then moved into the men's adventure genre, where he stayed for a long time. Unlike a lot of artists of the period, he had the foresight to actually save his artwork in a lot of cases. So he always saw it as a future sort of investment, stroke collectible, and he wasn't wrong, was he? Here we've got Steve Holland here. Now there he is, sort of posing for this magazine illustration. And Pollen says, although some artists would copy Steve Holland, and he almost always worked with Steve Holland 99% of the time, but he said a lot of the artists would always copy exactly Steve Holland with the face and all the features. He would often mix the features up a bit and just use it for the basic sort of body work, as it were, with the props and what have you. And there we are. So we start off with the very earliest ones, which are from October 1955, and we do systematically work our way through. So often the stories in the men's adventure mags would be like double page spreads. If you can imagine that was in a magazine, that would be really hard hitting. And there is the diver who we just saw there, which was modelled by Steve Holland. And I mean, some of the paintings are just so realistic, and obviously, I know in a lot of cases they were borrowed from photographs, but even so, getting that down on paper as artwork is a real skill. So each piece is dated, and also it says where it's actually come from. So this really is like an archive of Pollen's work in chronological order. So it's about the best you're going to ever get. A lot of this has never been seen since it was first printed all those years ago, sometimes 60 plus years ago, and a few of them have, of course, but a lot of them have not. This is the first time they're ever being reprinted. These are like little vignettes. That would have been like on sidebars in the magazines. As you can see, you do get an awful lot to enjoy for your money. really was one of the masters of the period, wasn't he? Really, really was. King of the South Sea Cannibals. But something like that, I mean, it's got loads of different elements, isn't it, in the artwork? 9 different characters there. It's incredible. And this sort of stuff, I mean, this is almost iconic for the period. You only got to glance at it, and it just sort of says, you know, mid to late 50s, isn't it? That absolutely stunning. So many different elements as well in it. Lots of attention to detail. Is a tie there, the woman's purse. Really, really. I mean, that would have been a great book cover, wouldn't it? Pollen said he never really read the actual stories that he was writing about, and he also never kept the magazines once they were printed, ironically, although he kept the artwork. He said he would just get the basic ideas from, you know, his editor or from the writers, and he would just turn that into a picture. Just shows his sort of skill. A lot of this is, it's not, you know, it's based on the story, but it is his own imagination that's come up with these sort of compositions. The nudes who decoyed an army. Oh, only these men's adventures, eh? Now, of course, if you want to see more of this sort of stuff, there is the great magazine, the Men's Adventure Quarterly. The first 5 issues of that are out, and number 6 is just on the way. I look at heist movies and heist stories, which is pretty cool. If you want to read these sort of stories in their entirety, that's a great way of doing it. Just seen that one there. Fatan's Island of Love-Starved Women. No wonder he's got a smile on his face. So still in the late 1950s here. Saigon's Bandit Legion of Lust. We were shipwrecked on an all-girl island. Wow. That was from Bachelor magazine, July 58. They're really nice. I think the style actually improves as time goes on. I suppose he's finding his feet these first couple of years. By now, sort of the quality's risen, hasn't it? And you can sort of see that chronological, but because these are in chronological order, you can sort of see how the style has changed, and Pollen's really upped his game. The Fraulein spy who seduced Hitler. They're just brilliant, aren't they? Another great illustration. That would have been our double page spread. Siberian Nightmare. Wow. Look at the expressions on the women. Just superb. So good. He really was a very talented artist indeed. So if you are a fan of this sort of style and the men's adventure magazines, which I'd hardly touched until I sort of started reading them a couple of years ago, they are great fun. They really are, and some brilliant stories in them. They're never overly long. You can just dip in and out and read a few here and there, and that's the great fun part of a men's adventure magazine. But yeah, these are fantastic. Lots and lots to admire. Now, these are some of the other books published by the Men's Adventure Library. There is the whole Men's Adventure Library, so Pollen's Action and Pollen's Women, both highly recommended. And I've got most of these now, so they are a great resource. menspulpmags.com is where you want to head to buy these direct, or you can just get them all off Amazon, where they're all listed on there. So there you go. What a lovely tome. So thanks once again for the authors for sending me a copy for review purposes. If you have enjoyed it, do please give that video a thumbs up, and do please hit the subscribe button if you've not already for regular vintage men's adventure action. Thanks very much for watching today, and I'll see you again very soon. Bye.